Asahi Kuromine looks like a common high schooler, but in reality, he is a man that can't lie. Asahi's personality has earned him the name of a leaky basket among his peers, and we witness just how bad this guy is at controlling his expressions when he just throws away a game of cards while playing with his friends. Some of Asahi's friends use his honest opinions frequently, while others try their best to keep him away whenever they're doing anything close to sharing a secret. The easy-to-read Asahi had recently gotten a crush on his new classmate, Shirogami Yoko, and his daydreaming about Yoko earned him an earful for the homeroom teacher as well. Later on, in the PE class, Asahi is noticing how Yoko is mainly seen alone and doesn't really talk to pretty much anyone when he gets knocked out by a football right in his face. Asahi's recent change in behavior is noticed by his friends, and they try to encourage him to just go for it if he doesn't want to ruin this confession as he did last year with the class rep Aizawa Nagisa. Asahi takes courage from his friends and decides to come clean with his feelings for Yoko, when things take an unexpected turn as Asahi finds Yoko alone in the classroom with large wings on her back. Yoko's fangs prove that she is actually a vampire, and even though Asahi tries to deny seeing anything, his expressions give the truth away. Yoko is also not the sharpest individual, and she remarks how she would have to leave school since her secret got out. Asahi starts feeling bad for doing something so horrible, and even though it was close to impossible, he promises to keep Yoko's secret. The guy also tries to confess his love, but he just ends up requesting Yoko to be his friend. Yoko gets emotional since she was always lonely at school, and later heading home when we see how Nagisa is spying on her with some high-tech equipment. Asahi's dream was kind of turning into reality as he was walking back home with the girl he had a crush on, but the problem was he got himself friend-zoned. Regardless of the mess he caused, Asahi is not completely against being friends with Yoko, and the two are walking back in the evening when Nagisa is shown to be keeping an eye on them even outside the school. On the next day at school, Asahi explains how he became friends with Yoko to his boys, and as the class starts for the day, class rep Nagisa seems to be a bit interested in Asahi. Nagisa is feeling bad about how she had absolutely destroyed Asahi's soul last year, but after realizing how quickly Asahi moved on from feeling attached to her, she gets mad, wondering whether Asahi even loved her at all in the first place. Later on, after class, Nagisa confronts Asahi about whether he was actually ever attracted to her or not, and listening to Asahi's honest opinion makes her embarrassed. Nagisa starts panicking and ends up destroying Asahi's soul once again before the boys take Asahi away so the guy can recover. Later in the after-school hours, Asahi is in an empty class with Yoko where she is finally having lunch after a long day. As the two were talking about vampires and how they are known to suck blood, Yoko suddenly feels the urge to eat some dessert. She finds some cream puffs that fell from Asahi's desk, but goes crazy after eating them as they were a bit too spicy for her. Asahi is trying to calm Yoko down when the classroom is visited by an unwelcome guest, Nagisa. Nagisa ends up seeing Yoko's wings, but instead of asking questions, she reveals her own secret when a little alien Nagisa pops out of the original big body. Both of the girls were equally dumb, so they reveal their secrets right in front of each other. Nagisa realizes how she made a mistake by revealing her identity as an alien, so she decides to remove Asahi's memories by smacking him with her memory removal hammer. A cat and mouse game breaks out in the school, and after finding out how this hammer can also remove Asahi's memories of Yoko as well, the guy accepts to get hit in the head again. Before the memories could be removed though, Yoko interferes, telling Asahi to not go this far, and seeing this wholesome interaction makes Nagisa trust Asahi with her secret as well. The day ends with the three of them sharing secrets, but we realize how things were not going to be that simple when Mikan Akemi from the newspaper club is revealed to be pulling out a recording device from those cream puffs in class. Asahi is walking to school the next day, wondering how he now has to keep secrets for both girls he liked when he finds Mikan torturing his boys for some information to create a new scandal. After her interrogation is over with the boys, Mikan pulls up on Asahi and shows them the recording she got from yesterday, implying she can use this to create another scandal just like she had been doing to Asahi ever since they were kids. Mikan is actually revealed to be Asahi's childhood friend, and she keeps running around him in school to get some info out. For Yoko's sake, Asahi was trying quite hard, and on the next day, when he got assigned the task to deliver homework to Yoko's place, Mikan started seeing some scope for another controversy. She starts going after Asahi again, but he manages to reach Yoko's apartment with some help from Nagisa. The class rep is holding back Mikan, and Asahi decides to have a drink when he is over at Yoko's. The two have a conversation, but it doesn't continue for a long time when Nagisa informs how Mikan had already gotten away from her with the use of a little trick. Mikan does manage to reach Yoko's place, but she is not able to win as she wanted to when the stuff in Yoko's closet knocks her out. Mikan is not someone who listens easily, so she decides to switch strategies and photoshops a photo of Asahi with Yoko to blackmail him. The usual running around in school continues, and after seeing Asahi really not give up this time due to Yoko, his friend Kanade gives our protagonist a tip. Asahi proceeds to confront Mikan on the roof this time, and after his usual begging does not work, Asahi changes his game plan on Kanade's advice and stops resisting Yoko's threats. Seeing Asahi not care anymore really defeats the whole purpose of the blackmailing, and Mikan runs away from Asahi while claiming to get back at him later. The day ends with Yoko getting impressed by Asahi's determination for keeping her secret, while we get to know how even Mikan is not normal when her glasses start talking to her, revealing how she has a crush on Asahi as well. Sometime later at school, Asahi had gotten in a little trouble with Sensei, courtesy of Shimada and his erotic magazine, when the guy realizes that he has a bigger problem to deal with when he sees Nagisa in her alien form. Asahi catches Nagisa's drift pretty quickly and heads out of the class with her, even though it causes him some embarrassment. Nagisa apologizes for the inconvenience before explaining how she needs Asahi's help as her external unit had run out of battery. After blaming Asahi for running out of her battery, the class rep tells the guy to sneak into the women's restroom, where she makes him carry her external unit. Nagisa was already getting embarrassed at the mere sight of Asahi carrying her body, and the problems escalated even more when Yoko joined the two. Asahi explains the task at hand to Yoko, and the three successfully manage to take Nagisa's body to the infirmary. After hooking the external unit up with power, Nagisa decides to head out and scout the area, but she ends up getting caught by Mikan. Nagisa decides to stay still, and Asahi somehow plays it off after calling Mini Nagisa a lifelike doll of the real one. Mikan was quite intrigued, but somehow Nagisa manages to keep her composure until the difficulty bar elevates when Shimada joins the group. Shimada was already experiencing surges in testosterone, and seeing Nagisa in a pocket size just amplified his weird thoughts. For the sake of keeping Nagisa's honor, Asahi decides to risk his own, and he runs away after snatching Nagisa from Mikan. The rest of the friends along with Yoko thought that Asahi had some ulterior motives, so they decided to give him a chase around the school. Asahi finally catches a break in the gym storage room, and somehow Nagisa changes into her real-size body without her unit. Even Nagisa is unable to understand how this happened, and just when she is worried about showing her antenna to Asahi, the rest of the group catches up to their hideout. With little time left, Asahi willingly receives Nagisa's iron fist and lets her successfully get away from the crowd while acting like she was angry with Asahi as usual. The class rep returns to the normal size a couple of minutes later, and Asahi even cleared the misunderstanding with Yoko when we get to know how a mysterious horned girl was the one who helped in saving the day. A couple of days pass by after that incident, and we meet up with Asahi again as he is on his way to school on a rainy morning. Asahi also comes across Yoko as she was on her way too, and the two decide that they might as well walk together. Asahi is a bit worried about Yoko risking it with the sunlight since she usually goes to school a lot earlier, but Yoko was pretty confident in her umbrella and today's weather forecast. By the time school is about to start though, the forecast turns out to be completely inaccurate, and we meet with Yoko as she arrives completely suntanned. Nagisa had just found out about this sensitivity, so she offers Yoko some training to dodge sunlight on her way to school completely. Nagisa trains her to move from shade to shade, and the session extends for quite long. Asahi also got curious to know about vampires, so he does his own study back at his place. On the next morning, Asahi meets Yoko outside in her PE uniform, as it was time to put all that training into practice. Yoko keeps on moving, and even though she was looking foolish, the training turns out to be somewhat working. The group had to pass by some garlic and a cross, so Asahi creates quite the ruckus while trying to save Yoko from these things. Asahi ends up making a fool out of himself this time around, as contrary to common knowledge, Yoko had no problem around either of those things. Asahi was stinking due to all that garlic, and the training also failed when there was no more shade to follow. Seeing Yoko out of option makes Asahi think hard, and he comes up with the genius idea of Yoko using sunscreen. Nagisa calls Asahi dumb for stating the obvious, but it turns out that the really dumb one here was Yoko, as the thought of sunscreen had never crossed her mind until now. A little time frame passes by, and Asahi meets up with Yoko at the amusement park. The date was set by Nagisa as she declined Yoko's offer earlier, so Asahi and Yoko could spend some time together. Even though Yoko originally wanted to bring Asahi and Nagisa close, seeing all these rides made her enjoy the trip to the fullest. Yoko enjoys the thrill of these rides a lot and reveals how she is half human, half vampire, before mentioning that this trip feels a lot like the time her parents spent together. The pair feels a little embarrassed, so they decide to give the haunted house a visit. Even though they were scared at first, Yoko ends up getting a little upset after she sees a blood-sucking vampire in there. With the sun setting, the two decide to call it a day and are heading back while at Shirogami's residence. Yoko's father is revealed to be on the move as he assigns a werewolf to figure out whether Yoko's secret is still intact or not. On their way back, Asahi is concerned about the childhood wolfman friend Yoko mentioned back at the amusement park, as the two are walking when they find a scary dude waiting for them on the way. The guy introduced himself as Shiro, and Yoko recognizes him as the wolfman she was mentioning earlier. Asahi gets a little scared seeing those scary fangs, and Shiro was coming up to be quite aggressive, but suddenly gets sad after coming to know that Yoko was over at the amusement park with Asahi. Asahi tries to clear out the misunderstanding, but seeing Yoko call him just a friend kind of deals some emotional damage. Despite knowing that Asahi is Yoko's friend, Shiro keeps pressuring him and understands how Asahi is so calm since he knows about Yoko's secret. Asahi's expression does confirm things yet again, but this time something different happens when the usually scared Asahi stands up for Yoko. The dudes are in an altercation when they notice the moon coming out, and instead of turning into a scary wolf, Shiro transforms into an attractive woman, now naming herself Shiho. The conversation moves to Yoko's apartment, where Shiho's split personality as a wolfman is explained. By this time, Nagisa was also worried about upsetting Yoko when she declined her offer to head over to the amusement park, so she decided to visit Yoko's apartment with some cake as an apology. Back at Yoko's, Shiho was rather interested in fooling around with Asahi, and her closeness seemingly makes Yoko jealous. Shiho finds this interesting to exploit, and in her attempts in doing so, Yoko reveals how Shiho can turn back into Shiro with a mere photo of the moon. The transformation causes some misunderstanding for Nagisa when she arrives, and as Asahi passes out from overheating, Shiho tells Yoko to be a bit more direct with her feelings from now on. On the next day, our group did settle the misunderstanding among them with some explanation, but a new problem arrived, with Shiho enrolling as a new transfer student. Right after her enrollment, Shiho begins to stick up and close to Asahi, and such closeness gives him a series of nosebleeds. While Shimada is rather envious of Asahi, Nagisa is getting jealous too from witnessing such an indecent activity. Mikan pulls up with her own ulterior motives, so Asahi finds it best to get away, even though he was feeling like he is in heaven moments earlier. Asahi meets up with Yoko and is wondering whether something surprising is left for him to witness in the school when the horned girl from earlier is seen walking around in school. This was odd even for Asahi, so he decides to play the detective and figure things out. The investigation only turns out to be a waste of time, and before Asahi could think of a different strategy, Yoko walks up to the girl to have a word herself. The girl reveals her name to be Akane Komodo, and realizing that his teacher's surname is also Komodo, Asahi assumes that Akane is Akari's sister. Akane is walking away after remarking that her horns are just an illusion, but she ends up running into Akari, and both of the students come to know that Akane is Akari's great-grandmother. The demon energy from Akane had put Nagisa on high alert, and she sets off on an investigation with her cat-shaped spaceship. The conversation with Akane moves to the principal's office, where Akari explains how Akane is a demon who has been around for thousands of years. Akane was aware of the secret of every species at school, including Yoko, and she's trying to pressurize Asahi when Yoko just kills the seriousness of the mood by drawing out Akane's childish nature with some candy. Akane was the principal of the school, and seeing Akari babysit her makes Asahi question his own life. Akane ends up getting into an argument with Yoko on who is more grown up among them, and they decide to settle matters in a duel where Asahi is the judge and his nosebleeds are used as an indicator. The competition goes in the favor of neither of the two, but Asahi ends up running low on blood from nosebleeds. Akari praises Asahi for keeping Yoko's secret, while the girls decide to eat the awful cream puffs made by Mikan from earlier as the last challenge. The girls were supposed to keep a straight face while eating, but the cream puffs turn out to be a bit too spicy, as eating them leads to the destruction of the whole gym building alongside Nagisa's cat spaceship. With Akari-sensei and Akane in on the whole species situation alongside Asahi, a couple of days later, Akari calls Asahi in the staff room to let him know about how he's supposed to take supplementary cooking classes since he missed school yesterday. Asahi was worried about cooking alone, but he ends up a little excited after finding all the girls taking the class with him. Akira runs away after assigning Asahi to make something that can ever resemble a curry, but Asahi's expression is pretty easy to read this time around as well, and we can clearly tell how this cooking class would neither be simple nor easy with all these girls and their personalities to handle alongside. With Asahi focusing on how to get past this challenge, our recap for today comes to an end. Comment down below what show you want to see next, and don't forget to leave us a like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on future videos. As always, we'll see you in the next one. Peace.